Good morning, world. It is Glenn, Angel, FD, and Shaun with Dr. Geraldine Tan from the Therapy Room. Therapy Tuesday. Good morning, Jerry.
Good morning. Today is a heavy topic.
Yeah, that's what I hear. That's what I hear. That's why I have my Therapy Room stress ball.
I've got my handkerchiefs.
I've got my sleeve.
But first, I must really thank the fans of 91.3 because they came by. So now I had version 1. Now I have version 2 with the big TV.
How about that, right? How about that? And we have a version as well.
Not only that, I've got my very own
Keyring
with my name on it. Can you see?
So nice.
Thank you, David and Manoj, who came by that day when they were in Orchard. So really love them. So thank you for my... Oh, you've got one too. And you've got the big one.
The beauty is it's a different version from yours, right? So everybody that he went around, passing these two, slightly different.
True.
Oh, really?
You see?
Yes,
There's
true.
the logo up here.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
So it's unique.
It's unique to each person. Yeah.
Wow.
Well done.
Yeah, if you're listening to us on the radio, you can also watch us on thebigshow.tv on Facebook because we are live for the next hour.
Yep.
That's right.
Yep.
Okay, so Jerry, why
Yes.
is it heavy this week? What are we talking about?
Today is about grief and grieving. And in my many years of working, I feel like a dinosaur. There are a lot of losses, and we talked a little bit about suicide. We didn't really go deep into it. So I thought I'll do an intro on something different because over the last couple of weeks, many parents, mothers came to me having to make decisions on whether to terminate a pregnancy or not. Wow. Yes, and it was so difficult. And I then on my Facebook feed, right, Chris Hansen wrote an article, a letter from a dad to his son. It took us 8 years to finally have you, our bouncy miracle baby. And you can find that article on the Asian Parent. And I asked his permission if I could just give him a mention, and he said yes. So thank you, Chris. And because when I read his article, I was so choked up. And the tears came down because I feel what he wrote. So those of you who have the opportunity, go read. It's just a 10-minute read, but very emotion-filled article about his journey towards being a parent. So I thought I wanted to talk about it. So that's why it's heavy, Glenn.
Luckily, we're familiar with this guy, this Chris Hansen.
Yes. So thank you, Chris. Yeah. And well, before we go into that, I was just going to look at the different types of losses. And I got a red card, so I think I have to go somewhere else. I cannot remember air or Facebook. So.
Alrighty.
Yes.
Okay, so you were talking about that you're going to speak about grief and grieving, and I've yet to read the article, The Asian Parent, from The Asian Parent that this guy Chris wrote. But I can see the headline that it says it took your mommy and me 8 years to finally have our miracle baby. Tell us a little bit more about the article because I feel that it's going to be linked to grief, that they did try having kids before that.
We're going to park his article till later. Okay. I'm a little bit avoidant as I drive. As I drove in today, I was like, okay, it's a very heavy topic. So let me go with what are losses first, okay? So losses is not typically just what we lose, like a person that we lose. It can be also losing your innocence. So rape victims have lost their innocence. It's been snatched away. Abuse victims, their youth, so child abuse, their youth have been taken away. So they've lost their childhood. So there is loss. So sometimes when we deal with abuse or we deal with rape victim, we also grieve over some of these losses. A loss of companionship when you lose a spouse. Right. So I remember one of the many years ago, this cleaning lady, she came one day and said, my husband passed away. And, we asked her I asked her how she was coping. And she said, the one thing that I really miss is to argue with him every night. And I was like, oh my gosh. So when they were alive, they were always arguing, right? But when when husband passed away, that was one thing that she really missed. That was their way of communication, she said. Yeah. And then even those that are close to retiring or have retired, that whole loss of status, the purpose, the meaning can be very impactful for them. So that is also a loss. A loss of care. So the person that actually nudged me to talk about this is actually one of my clients who lost her mother. So the mother used to mothers care for us. So it's that loss of care, loss of love, loss of, that person that is beside you, loss of lifestyle. So many of us don't realize that, but I think those empty nesters would be able to identify. FD is nodding his head. Yeah. So it's that loss of the lifestyle that you once know, the busyness, the hustle and the bustle, shuttling everyone, trying to juggle everyone's schedule. So all these are losses. So if anyone wants to talk about any one of these, tell us, and then we can talk about it in the next few weeks. Yes, so that's losses. Do I have to talk about the article now?
She wants you to talk about the article when we go back on air, actually.
Yeah, that would be better.
Yeah, you don't have to, but yeah.
No.
You brought it up.
Yes. No, I'm just being naughty because, it is a very a topic that sometimes we find it very hard to speak about, and I'm just echoing a lot of people. Why are they finding it so difficult? So today is really that voice for parents, the voice for grief, the voice for those that are still grieving.
I mean, I've never really seen loss as so many different types. When you broke it down to like youth, innocence, lifestyle, loss of care and loss of companionship and stuff like that. And even a loss of a career, like when you retire and stuff like that. Because you come out of your routine and your comfort zone and stuff, right?
Well, oddly enough, this and Glenn knows this, this is one of the reasons why I try to keep longevity in my career. Because I'm very worried about what will happen when I retire and whether I will go through grief. Worst yet, depression.
Right. I mean, even I felt the loss when I first came onto the show. Andre was here, right? And then when he had to leave, I too felt a little bit of a loss. The first time when he was not on the show, because he was touch point when I first came onto the show. So that is also a loss, but most losses are rather manageable. So most of us don't pay attention to the losses, but sometimes when we don't recognize it and we feel something, for example, transitions that we talk about. So the primary school students that go to secondary school, loss of the entire familiar environment that they grew up with, friends that they grew up with. We don't realize how much that loss has of an impact on these young little hearts, They said, I'm never going to see my friends again, but I want to just stay here. Mommy, can I just stay here? And we've heard that before.
And similar to moving countries or moving homes as well,
Yes,
right?
Yeah, so the expatriates, those that have come to Singapore, the loss of lifestyle. I remember one Australian couple, they were so comfortable back in their house that their house had a nice little stream beside. They had a little boat beside their house, and then they have the tractor going out.
Okay.
Okay, we're going back on air. Our guest for this morning is Dr. Geraldine Tan from the Therapy Room, and today we're talking about grief. When do we grieve? What kind of losses are we talking about this morning? We were talking about it on thebigshow.tv. Perhaps maybe you would like to repeat it for our 1FM fans who are listening to us exclusively on the radio.
So the different types of losses, abuse victims, they lose their youth, their childhood, for the child abuse cases, the rape victims, the loss of innocence, the losing a parent, that loss of care, and concern. The loss of lifestyle, the expatriates, the empty nesters, loss of the whole status and career, the retirees, or if you've lost your job, the loss of a spouse, so loss of companionship. So just a few to name. I mean, but quite tough for us to deal with if we don't pay attention that these are actually losses for us.
And of course, people deal with losses very differently.
Very differently.
Yeah, very differently.
Because you mentioned the different types of losses.
Exactly.
The loss of a parent or parents, the loss of one's innocence.
Yes.
Maybe one would think that the heaviest grief one would feel is when we lose a parent. But that might not be the case for some people.
Yeah.
So...
I mean, I've known people who've gone into major grief for having lost a pet.
A pet.
Right.
I was going to say lots of
Pets
pets
are
as well.
huge.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So losing a pet is also very difficult, especially that is that unconditional love that the pet gives you. Yeah, that cannot be replaced actually.
Yeah.
And I still believe that all dogs go to heaven.
Hey, they absolutely
Absolutely.
do.
Absolutely.
They all go to the Rainbow Bridge.
That's where my Trixie is.
Yeah. They all go to the Rainbow Bridge.
So what should someone who is suffering a prolonged heartbreak due to loss do?
I mean, the talk to someone. So I want everyone to know that it is okay to talk about your grief. It is okay to talk about your pain, and let no one put your pain and grief down, so that it is a journey. It doesn't matter how long it is. To you, it is painful, and no one else knows how painful it is. Yeah. So talk about it.
But Jerry, it is important for us to grieve and not to hide it.
Yes.
Because we have a message on our Facebook page, and I'm going to read it.
Yes.
I just want your comment on it. I have never grieved for my 4 miscarriages. I was afraid I'd break. I had to stay strong for my eldest kids at the time. So any look of sad emotions would break me, my eldest kid, and my husband. So you fight grieving.
Don't fight. Don't fight. So this is one thing that I always remind anyone that is grieving. Do not fight. And especially for the parents out there, if you are grieving, can you imagine if you have to swallow all your grief and keep it all inside? Then your children will learn how to do that. They don't know how to express themselves. They don't know what to do when they're hurting inside. And that's very dangerous.
But it's tough for, this is a mother that sent in a message on the Facebook page, right, Mark?
Yeah.
For the mother, because the mother already has a child, and then she has her husband, and she's had the 4 miscarriages, but to keep a brave face, right? What do you do if you break? Because the mother is usually the foundation of the entire family, right?
It is, we think we would break, but it's okay to cry. It is okay to acknowledge that you feel something for the little one that has gone up to heaven, and it's okay for that dear little one, because by not grieving openly, are you denying the little one's existence? Then, and I don't want that. I don't want the parent to have one more guilt onto themselves.
But that's the thing, you see. Some people just keep it to themselves because they don't want to burden anybody else.
That's what I'm saying.
So I mean, Angel has a point there, because deep down inside, a realist is going to be thinking, nobody cares. This is my problem, They might be there saying, I'm so sorry and all that, but after that, life goes on for them, and therefore maybe I should do the same. And you force yourself to deal with the heartache, to deal with the pain. And after a while, you just feel like, you're not even conscious.
You don't feel it anymore.
Yeah, you're not even conscious that it's bugging you. Okay, we'll continue to talk about this live on thebigshow.tv. It's time to play you something from Mr. Mister. This is Kiri. You're tuned in to The Big Show with Dr. Geraldine Tan from the Therapy Room.
I just want to carry on what we were just talking about, because this is one mother with a husband and a child.
Yeah.
What about grieving as a family? Because not only has she lost 4 babies, or teaching the current child how to grieve as well, and grieving with the husband, because the husband also has lost those children.
Yes. And everyone grieves differently. So, but if you don't provide that opportunity to do that, and you put up a facade, then life becomes really just a stage where you perform your duties and perform for the world to see. So I was really, really pleased and very excited when I saw Chris' article. He wrote that article about his 3 babies that he lost, and how difficult it was for his wife. Oh gosh!
Dear.
Oh, wow.
Jerry's first.
Tissue paper,
Jerry. Don't worry.
Chris, are you watching it now, Chris? See what you've done.
No, but
No, where his wife, I'll push on a little bit, where his wife actually lost the twins, which was the second pregnancy. And she saw blood flowing down, and it was heart-wrenching, because I cannot imagine what she was going through at that point in time, and she was in public, So read the article if you have the opportunity, and how difficult it was for them to then, have the completed pregnancy and a lovely boy.
I absolutely remember that moment. I remember, I was at Parkway Parade with Chris at that time.
Oh, wow.
No. As in, like, when he told me, he told me about it.
You see, Glenn and myself know Chris very, very well. So I think I know Chris maybe a little better than Glenn. So I know what the entire family unit went through through that time. And
Good morning to Diora as well.
Morning, Chris. He's watching.
Yeah. You watching, Chris?
Yeah.
Morning, Chris.
I told him, I asked permission from him. Thank you, Chris, for allowing us to chat about it also. Yeah, but when the article came up, I went, yes. He gave a voice. I need to borrow that voice. We all need to talk about the grief that, parents don't know, especially parents who are going through infertility, parents who have lost, have miscarriages, where who can grieve with them. Usually it's a very couple sort of grieving journey, and nobody else knows about the pregnancy. Nobody else knows. There's no real, sometimes there isn't even, a funeral. So like for the 3 little babies, I don't remember reading that there was a funeral even, so what do we do with that? Do we do with the memory of that little one, of the little ones that we have lost?
You spoke about it being a collective grieving with couples and stuff like that. Now, I don't personally know anyone who's gone through a journey like Chris and his wife have, but a lot of stories I've read and movies that I've watched, although they're not always based on true stories, it's where the couples break up because they can't handle the loss. So how do couples work together better and not blame one another for a loss that may happen? And it may not be through like a miscarriage. It could be through an accident that they've lost a child, or through an illness and various other reasons. So how does a couple or a family work together?
Angel, you'll be happy to know that many of the couples I work with, the breakups are far and few in between.
Oh, good,
in fact, they seal their relationship stronger, and they work through it. They work through the pain. But of course, there are couples that do break up.
That's because they have help from you.
Okay, Jerry, a very old friend of mine, I think Glenn, Angel, we all know her. Hannes Hassi is watching us from Texas right now.
Morning,
Hannes.
Hannes is in Dallas, and she says, I lost my brother in Singapore 2 days ago.
I'm sorry to hear
sorry
that.
to hear
So
that.
sorry for your loss.
And she says, I'm so far away. So how does she now deal with that?
It is very difficult. So we've got a few. That's why I thank all of you for allowing us to talk about the grief and grieving today. The COVID has split many families up. It's not North and South Korea anymore. It is the COVID that has split many family up, and sometimes a loved one passes away overseas. Or you are, in Singapore and someone is overseas, or you're overseas and someone passes away here. And you can't fly back on time because of all the quarantine and everything. So the grieving journey gets a bit displaced. I'm still journeying with a few of them. The rituals, the rituals get a bit displaced. They attempt to cope by using the Zoom platform to participate, to replicate what is overseas and what is local, and they do it in parallel. So that seems to have helped a little bit, not the greatest, and it's very painful. You can't touch, you can't hug your other relatives. It's a very isolating journey. Yeah. So my heart goes out to Hannes, is it?
Yes.
And yes. And please remember that your brother is always in your heart. They're never far away. Yeah.
And as we speak, we have many people in that situation.
Yes.
Yeah.
So many.
Yeah.
So many.
Yep. Yeah. So difficult. This death and dying, grief and grieving, a very, very tough topic today. And, borrowing what Chris' voice, and there were a few mothers that had needed to make, or couples, but the mothers came, that needed to make decisions whether to terminate their pregnancy midterm because of chromosomal issues. So because the doctors have not given very good prognosis for the little baby. And it is tough. So in therapy, we do not give advice. We don't tell you whether you should terminate or not. We walk through with you in a space that is non-judgmental and non-religious. So my space is non-religious. Yeah.
Yeah. Hannes has come back and said that what saved her was FaceTime. So she was able to be at the funeral during FaceTime. So she says she's at ease now because she was there in a way.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
We've also got another one where someone has said they've heard. Or I tell you what, when we come back, I'll deal with this one on Facebook.
Stand by 1 in traffic, IFD.
Or on air, rather. Yeah.
Don't ever give up.
1FM 91.3 traffic.
Usual delays across the expressways, I can tell you that much. We have a few areas to look out for. The PIE towards Tuas, a vehicle broken down at Jalan Bahar entrance. Look out for that. That's going to slow you down. We have the PIE towards Tuas, an accident after Thompson Road exit. Congestion is to the CTE City exit. avoid lanes 1 and 2. PIE towards Changi, an accident before Jalan Bahar, avoid lanes 3, 4 and 5. Stay within the speed limit, please. Have everyone buckled up. Be safe as you drive today.
Grief is the price we pay for love.
For love. It is.
We've been hearing a lot about that
Yes.
the past few days with the passing of Prince Philip as well.
Yes.
Well, this morning on the show, we have Dr. Geraldine Tan from the therapy room, and we are talking about grieving and and the different types of losses.
So Jerry, Roshini has come onto our Facebook page and said, I've heard of couples who name their child that they have lost and have a ceremony of sorts for their lost unborn child. Is this a way of getting closure? Is this a way of dealing with the grief? Is this a good thing to do?
Everyone grieves differently. So sometimes parents have already named the baby. So they give that baby a little bit of a ritual. And that's perfectly fine. You know, some choose not to name the baby. Some choose not to even look at the fetus when they deliver the baby, you know, and that's also fine. There's no one way to grieve. We should not dictate that you should do this or that to grieve for the baby or for anyone that we have lost. Some choose to keep quiet, and that's also okay. They just need to sit, you know. So one of the young teens who've lost, young adults that have lost the grandparent said, I just want to sit at grandma's room and be by myself, you know, but I get scolded for it. And I say, it's okay. Do you need me to talk to your parents? Yeah.
Jerry, just as you mentioned that we should not dictate how someone going through grief should behave or should feel, what do we say or what can we do if we are on this other side and sitting with someone or encountering someone who has gone through a very big loss?
If you don't know what to say, and, you know, the best thing is don't say anything, really, but just be with the person. The presence is good enough. You know, bring them out for meals, bring them a meal. Oftentimes they don't have appetite to eat anything at all. You know, bring them a warm drink. That would be good enough. You know, just spend time with them. Encourage them to do small activities. Be active. So one of the couples that I've journeyed with, very privileged to journey with them, it was very difficult for them to make the decision to terminate their pregnancy because it was a very wanted child. So the couple came. They permitted me to talk about them because later on I'll show a photo that they took of my team, and she started a Chan photography. Yeah, so not really in memory of the baby, but because I think she was very down and her husband was encouraging her to do something.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. We are speaking to Dr. Geraldine Tan from the therapy room. Thank you very much for tuning in to The Big Show. We continue with the music. Lighthouse Family is next with High on 1FM 91.3. Good morning.
Jerry, when people grieve, there are many regrets they have. I didn't do this for them. I didn't say this for them. I wasn't with them enough. How do you help people get over that? Because now you can't do anything for them. You can't say anything. You can't make up for that.
That's guilt as well.
But it's part of the grief process.
Yeah, I know. It's like you're grieving because you feel guilty. Or
really?
You know, you're feeling no, because I mean the stuff that he mentioned early on. You're feeling guilty, and at the same time you are grieving. That makes it
even worse.
Yeah.
I mean, the past is something that we don't want them to dwell on, right? But if they want to,
easier said than done, right?
Easier said than done, definitely. So if they want to communicate with, you know, their dear ones, please write to them, please speak out, have a photo there. You're not going crazy if you talk to the photograph. Just like the daughter that lost the mom, she speaks to the photograph for a year or two. She was just every day, bye mom, hi mom, and was just speaking to the photograph about her day. Only daughter. So and the only parent had passed away, so she was very, very lonely. You're not going crazy. It is okay. I think what is really difficult are the memories that you want to create with them, the birthdays that cannot be celebrated, the graduations that cannot be attended, to the weddings that cannot be materialized. So all these are really tough for parents, or people that are going through the grieving process. The memories that cannot be created, that you've spoken about already, and is what do you do? So for the friends, please be sensitive and not ask them for every wedding or or blast it out that, oh, my child's graduated already. Let's be a little bit more sensitive.
And you're not just losing all that you've shared with that person, you're also losing all that you may have with that person in the future.
Exactly.
Which not a lot of people think of, right?
Exactly. So it is, the loss is very deep. So for those that think that you will get over it, or you think the other person will get over it in a year or two, please do not impose that timeline on any grieving person. Many years, a parent is still a parent. They still speak of the child in present tense, so they still grieve. Once a parent, always a parent. Once a daughter, always a daughter. So you don't relinquish the role just because the person is not present on the earthly world.
It's interesting, Jerry, because you're talking about this over a period of years. So grieving, is it just grieving, or do we grieve in stages?
There are stages. I mean, there's the 5 stages of grief. However, when we talk about grieving and loss, it is forever. It is forever. I mean, why Chris' article touched my heart so much, because now I'm going to share it publicly, is because I've lost one little one. Before I had my oldest boy, the completed pregnancy, and it was extremely tough. Being the first pregnancy, a very wanted baby. What was very tough was people saying, oh, it's very common. First pregnancies, to lose the first pregnancy is very common. Anyway, it's not a real one. It's
Oh no. What?
So please be careful what you tell people. It is very difficult. I would share this because I think mothers will understand. You actually feel your body going through changes. You actually feel the baby coming out, even if everybody sees it as blood, you see it as baby.
Yeah, of course. Just a question. Were these comments coming from non-parents or parents as well?
Both.
Really?
Both.
Wow.
Yes, because just like how I was, so avoidant in the initial part of the show today, it is very difficult to wrap your head around it. It is very tough. Yeah, and my heart goes out to one of the mummies that came last week. And she said, I should get over it already. Hers was a midterm abortion, so midterm termination, and baby was not doing very well. But because it was so far in, she need to deliver the baby naturally.
Oh, no.
So, yeah, she had to go through the whole induction process, and she had to squat over the basin. She didn't realize that all these were impacting her. So the sight, the sound, the smell, the tactile, and what really hit her was when I asked, did you feel baby coming out?
Oh no.
Yes. So sometimes our bodies react. So she's having a lot of infections and UTIs because, she didn't recognize that she was grieving and that, there's a lot of pain in the mother herself, a lot of guilt in the mother herself. So it's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
I never knew they handled midterm pregnancies like that. Is that a common thing?
Yes. So a lot of things if it is not, if it's very early in the pregnancy, they might not need to do that. They might not need to deliver the baby in such a manner, but a procedure still has to be done unless it's a missed abortion, which means that the baby comes out naturally, right? But this one was induced. So usually midterm termination, they have to induce
because it's
the
so
whole
far
process.
along, right?
Right. Okay, still on losses, Jerry, but moving away from miscarriages and abortions. What if someone has lost a loved one and is angry for whatever reason? So the person is grieving and the person is pissed off with the deceased. How does
seen this happen.
How does someone like that, get over it?
It's one of the stages of grief. It is very normal. Don't be alarmed. Don't for the people that are around, don't overreact. It's probably part of that whole grieving process. Permitting the grieving person to just vent would be very helpful as long as they're not doing anything dangerous to themselves or anyone.
Right.
Yeah.
So like putting a photo of the deceased up there and throwing darts at the at the face. I mean, if it works for some people.
So one of the ladies who had lost her son to a road traffic accident. A few years later, she lost her husband to cancer. Yeah, she was, and it was a very beautiful story. The couple were very loving, and husband passed away in her arms. And in the last moments, she said, "Go join our son."
Oh, wow. Jerry, you've spoken about depression and being sad, and Glenn just mentioned being angry. What other kinds of grieving have you seen that we may not know about?
Denial. So if we talk about the stages of grief, one of it is it can't be happening. I don't believe that's happening. I don't want to let go of the body. Let me hold on a little bit longer. Yeah. Wow. Yep. It is not easy.
Yeah.
It is not easy.
This really messes you up, man. It does mess people up.
It does.
This is real.
It does.
It's real.
Okay. We're going on air to do one traffic.
Okay, cool. We're back on The Big Show and TheBigShow.tv with Dr. Geraldine Tan. Julian Ko from SG Carmart is on standby. But right now, Geraldine, we've been talking about losses and grieving, for the past 40 minutes. Is there anything else you would like to say in conclusion?
Just don't make me cry, okay?
No. You choked out a few times, and I choked out a few times just now. Thank goodness, no tissues needed. But I suppose sometimes using a comfort object. Can you see this?
Yeah.
No.
It is a little dog. It's
Oh.
a little dog. So I got it when I lost my dog many years ago. So comfort objects. If Shaun can show, the photo with the little monkey and the alcohol. Okay,
alcohol
we don't.
also.
Yeah.
We were just talking about an alcoholic monkey this morning.
We were, actually.
Yeah, we were.
I
Actually,
think-
there's a story out in northern India.
I think here you have the three cures for grief: the comfort object, the alcohol, and the cake.
Yes. So the rainbow cake not belongs. So this photo belongs to the daughter that has lost her mom, a few years ago. And it was very tough, a journey for her. And this is during the mother's birthday. So when the mom passed away, I think in the first year, the mom actually loves rainbow cake. So that's the rainbow cake that you see there.
Right.
And alcohol is for the daughter, but then the monkey represents the mom.
Yeah.
So she brings the mom. She brings the little monkey everywhere, and even to her place of work. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Different ways.
Yes, different ways of kind of helping yourself. Photography was another one that I think you can show the big photo, like what we call the 全家福, but it looks like a Korean. We don't look like Korean superstars, but
You do?
yeah.
That could be a Korean drama poster. It could
looks
be.
like
Therapy room.
Yes, so this is my team, and Adri Chan Photography does a lot of family photography. Started after she lost her little one last year, and she's built up her portfolio quite nicely. Photography therapy. So last week we saw one photographer, and then this week we see another photographer also. So different ways that we can help ourselves. Yep. Yeah. And okay, just, if anyone needs a support group, SOS has support groups. If you've lost a child, the therapy room has healing hearts for mothers, only for mothers, exclusively for mothers who have lost children through suicide. And then there's child bereavement support groups out there, and the PIATA.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jerry. That was a tough topic to get through.
It's a tough topic. Shall I give you a conclusion?
Yes, please.
Concluding. Give sorrow words. The grief that does not speak knits up overwrought heart and bids it break, by William Shakespeare, Macbeth. So talk about grief.
Thank you.
Will do, Jay.
Thank you very much, Jerry. Thank you so
Take care.
much.
It was really quite awesome.
We'll see you next week again. Hi, Julian. Bye, Julian, again. Sorry into your time again.
No, it's okay.
All right. Bye, Jerry. Take care.